Well, actually, in today's video, we're going to have a look at where it's 8 to 10 days. In today's video, it will take us to around the 10th of May. Of course, it's the final day of the month today, so we're going into the second week of the new month. We're going to be starting on a very unsettled note, but as we talked about on in JMA Friday last week, on last Friday, there was, in that update from the CFS and the JMA, signs of improvements for the second week of May, with perhaps a bit of a build of high pressure. And we are seeing that now within the shorter range sort of GFS and ECM WF by day 10. We could start to see high pressure building in. So I'll have a look at the charts on that in a moment. I'm very, very impressed with the way the CFS V2 and the JMA is performing at the moment, the two longer range models that we use. Very impressive how that's doing. It looks like it's got it right again, or they've got it right again, perhaps in terms of the build of pressure into the second week of May. Though it's all still quite a long way off. So we'll have a look at the charts on that in a moment. Before I get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all of the pages at GavsOffice.com. Have a browse through the widgets. Any articles that you're interested in, please click through the article and read those articles. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads on most of the pages. They open out within the content, then they close back up again once you watch them. So have a quick watch of those. They're quite short, proper TV commercial length ads. So have a look and see what they're about. And again, thanks very much for doing that. You've probably noticed some quite big changes at the website over the last few weeks. There's another big change that's coming next week. We're going responsive, which means that, well, you won't notice a great deal of change if you're on the desktop or an iPad. It'll still be the same view, more or less. There will be a few little changes in terms of the layout and colour schemes and that kind of thing, but not dramatic changes. But if you're watching on a mobile, if you come to GavsOffice on a mobile, you will notice a very big change next week, because your view will be optimised for your mobile phone. So as I said, go responsive next week. I'm not sure what day that will be, either Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, if you come to GavsOffice on a phone and you view the website on your phone, it's going to be optimised for your view. You won't have to go off to the other branch of the website, the mobile GavsOffice. It will all be optimised here on the main website. So exciting developments for next week. Right, let's get on with the video, and we can see that the 500 mm height anomalies are showing what I was talking about in terms of this signs of a change anyway, for around 10 days time. So you've got the GFS here on the left, the ECWF is over on the right. 500 mm, 8,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure and low pressure are being moved now by the jet stream running above. And blue extrapolates to low pressure, blue extrapolates to low pressure, that's right, orange extrapolates to high pressure. So what we've got here for 8 to 10 days time, which as I say, it takes us around the 8th to the 10th of May, is orange colours building to the south of the country. Bridgeyard is just here. We've got orange colours building to the south on both of these charts. That's high pressure starting to ridge up from the south and the southwest. Because it came from the south, that could have some quite warm air entrenched in it, by the way. And the low pressure out in the Atlantic, it's becoming sort of centred out in the Atlantic, so it's becoming a little bit blocked by that build of pressure. This is shoving the jet stream north as well. So we're going on the warm side of the jet there. We've got a build of high pressure coming to the south. It's May, so that does mean that it's going to be pretty warm and dry. Very pleasant early summer conditions if that was to come off. Now, the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles don't really show this up just yet. They do show signs of a bit of a drying trend, though, into the second week of month. Let's deal with the temperatures first of all. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. We're solidly below average at the moment. We're going to go above average over Bank Holiday weekend, but that will be associated with all of this rain, so it could be quite a lot of precipitation over Bank Holiday weekend. It's actually going to be a total washout, and the good news with this is that quite a bit of it could come through overnight, particularly Saturday night looks very very wet. But because it's overnight, it means that Saturday and Sunday might not be too bad. So we might be timing things okay for the bank holiday weekend. I'll have a detailed look at that on the events page this evening. But despite the fact it looks quite aligned with low precipitation spikes, it might not be as bad as it looks if we get the timings right. Now, beyond that, we see a dip in the temperatures as we go through into the middle part of next week. And then there's a lot of scatter, no real warming trend. But you do notice a little bit of a drying trend here from around the 7th through to the 12th of May, something like that. We are seeing a lessening, not totally going away, but a lessening of the precipitation spikes. And then by the time you get through to the middle part of the month, 15th of May just here, the precipitation spikes start to come back again. Now that's a long way off, so I wouldn't take that too seriously at all. But I think we do see, doesn't go completely dry, but we do see some evidence of a little bit of a drying trend as we get through into the second week, or for a time anyway, into the second week of May. The temperature anomaly for the coming weeks, this takes us from the 30th of April to the 8th of May, is still below average. And of course, that's taking into account the very cool weather that we've got at the moment and will keep up to the weekend anyway. So once we get to the weekend, I would expect these charts to start showing red colours as we go a bit, excuse me, a little bit above average. Quite a bit of rainfall to come through, as well, from those precipitation spikes. So the precipitation anomaly is above average, particularly for England and Wales, from the 30th of April to the 8th of May. So here's the generic GFS. We start on Bank Holiday Monday, low pressure, 1 trillion trillion. You look at that and think it's going to be a very wet weekend. But as I say, if we just get the timings right, and there are some indications today that we could get these timings right, we'll bring the rainfall through overnight, and the days might not be too bad. As I say, want to know more about the Bank Holiday weekend, we'll have one more look on the events page tonight. After that, we go into next week, and this area of low pressure down to the south on Tuesday is causing a bit of concern. It's over the Bay of Biscay at 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. That could push northwards. It's a very, very wet day on Tuesday. It's going to be a close run thing. I think it may get trended southwards and eastwards in the end, just affect France, the Low Countries and Germany. But we've got to keep an eye on it. Generally very unsettled conditions anyway up to the middle of next week. But then into second half of next week, we do start to see changes. There's the Azores High beginning to ridge up towards us. This is on Friday the 8th of May, so just over a week away. As we go through to day 10, look at this, Sunday the 10th of May, the high pressure is well and truly in there across northern France, pushing the jet stream northwards with these areas of low pressure. So that is turning significantly drier. It would also be turning warmer as well, because the jet stream's going back to the north of the country and the air is starting to be dragged up from the south. And then the GFS just runs with this idea. So we go through to Tuesday the 12th of May, 300 hours away, so a very long way out. But look at this, that's quite a summary chart really. The high pressure is there across central parts of Europe. If I show you the upper air temperatures with that, you can see very warm air is on its way towards us. It's more or less still centred to the south, but it is being drawn in towards us by an area of high pressure, and that could be lifting temperatures at least up to the low 20s if that was to come off, maybe even a little bit higher. Now, how long that would last, not sure. As we saw from the ensembles, there is indication that this could break down by the time you get through to the middle part of the month. It could turn wetter again. But at least a few days through the second week of the month, the GFS is certainly indicating, on this particular run anyway, the chance of some very dry, very warm and pretty dry, almost summer-like conditions coming through. The ECMWF air for Monday, very unsettled again with low pressure around the country. It'll be a case of whether we can time the rain bands overnight and have the days relatively okay. There's that area of low pressure around the Bay of Biscay on Tuesday. We've got to watch out for that. Could give us a very wet day, but I think it'll probably go to the south and the east. It's an unsettled and relatively cool pattern anyway up to the middle of next week, and then as we go through to the second half of next week, we find the indications once more from the model that high pressure begins to build from the south. Here we are on Friday the 8th of May with the Azores High starting to reach towards us. This is when the GFS is doing it as well. So it's around the very end of the first week of May. We start to see the high pressure building north. And look at this, by day 10, the high pressure is in there over the country. That's a warmer, drier, almost summer-like pattern coming through once again by Sunday the 10th. But GEM is not seeing this at the moment, though, so we start next week, or through middle of next week, very unsettled on the Canadian model. We go through into the end of next week. Pressure does try to build to the south, but the difference here is quite a significant one, is that pressure or heights don't lower over Greenland. So we keep relatively high pressure in over Greenland, and that sort of keeps the jet stream on a southerly track with the GEM. So by day 10, when the other two want to have a high pressure that centres somewhere around Germany and start to pull in those southerly winds, the GEM doesn't. It actually centres the high pressure out to west of the country and keeps these cool and unsettled northerly winds going, and the jet stream there is going like that, so we don't go onto the warm side of the jet with the GEM. Now, the GEM is always different, and it's probably not as good as the other two, although this change that we've had at the end of April, actually the GEM performed very well with that. It didn't flip-flop much at all, whereas the GFS and the ECMWF did. It's always swings and roundabouts with these models, and the GEM just highlights the perils, really, of looking at the weather for 8 to 10 days' time, thinking you've got a pattern when it is still far enough away for things to go wrong. So, very tentatively, it looks like we're going to be starting May on an unsettled note, and then as we go through to the second week of the month, get some warmer, drier weather. The caveat is that it's still a long way off, and the GEM is not seeing that occurring, but potentially a taste of early summer as we get through to the second week of May. Okay, that's it. I'll be doing the bank holiday update on the events page tonight. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.